बहिरप्पा यांच्यावर 2 दिवसांचं राष्ट्रीय चर्चासत्रसुद्धा झालेलं होतं. आज ते आपल्यात उपस्थित आहे. विद्यापीठाशीच नाळ जोडायची म्हणून मला असं वाटतं की पहिला प्रश्न आपण त्यांना हा विचारूया. त्यांचं जे उच्च शिक्षण आहे ते महाराजा सयाजीराव गायकवाड विद्यापीठ बडोद्यातून झालेलं आहे. ते तिथून तत्त्वज्ञान या विषयात त्यांनी शिक्षण घेतलं. मला त्यांना असा प्रश्न विचारायचा आहे. सुरुवातीला मी आपल्यासाठी सांगतोय की तत्त्वज्ञानाचे विद्यार्थी म्हणून एकीकडं ते शिक्षण घेत आहेत आणि दुसरीकडं सर्जनशील लेखक म्हणून सुद्धा ती जी नाळ आहे किंवा ती जी तयारी आहे ती तयारीसुद्धा ते एकीकडं करत आहेत. मला असं वाटतं की तो पहिला प्रश्न आपण त्यांना विचारूया.
ನೀವು ತತ್ವಜ್ಞಾನದ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಯಾಗಿ ಈಗ MA ಫಿಲಾಸಫಿ ಓದಿದ್ರಿ, ಆಮೇಲೂ ಫಿಲಾಸಫಿಯಲ್ಲೇ PhD ಮಾಡಿ ಫಿಲಾಸಫಿಯ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕರು ಆಗಿದ್ರಿ. ತತ್ವಜ್ಞಾನದ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಯಾಗಿ ಸೃಜನಶೀಲ ಬರಹಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಬಂದ್ರಿ? ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡಿತು? ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯದ ಪಠ್ಯದ ಸಹಾಯ ಎಷ್ಟಿತ್ತು? ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೊರತಾದ ಅಧ್ಯಯನ, ಅದರ ವ್ಯಾಪ್ತಿ?
Those of you who have read my autobiography know the influence I had to become a creative writer. My mother had this creative ability. She herself has written some stories and some poems also. My mother died when I was a boy of 9 years, and afterwards, you know, all the troubles. Now I remembered my mother so much that sometimes I will get the image of my mother in my dream. In my dream, I would say my mother coming from the mood club, and then she wearing the white cloth and gradually coming. Then I would go and hold her. I would go near and then I would say I should hold her so that I go back to her Surga. Then before I touch her, vanish. And my dream will become aware. But I was trying to again get into sleep and get the same dream of my mother. She would not come. Now after about 10 days or 15 days, the same dream would come back. So this is the relationship, this is the power that my mother had, and I got it from her, and that is why I am a writer. Now, this death was bothering me. I came to Mysore for my high school, and I wanted to know why people die and what happens after death. There was a professor called M.V. Yamunacharya. Yamanacharya, and I approached him and asked her this question: what is death? Why do people die? And what happens after death? And then he gave me a book, Kannada translation of Kannada translation of the Upanishad. Yes, Kathopanishad. I brought it and I read about 10 pages up to Nachiketa goes to Yama's place, waits there for 3 days, and Yama comes back, and then he will say, "You asked me, you see, you have sitting in my house, starving. Therefore, I will give you 3 varas. What do you want?" And he says, because I have left it, my father is very sorrowful. Give peace to my father, and so on. Yes, up to that I could understand because it was story. And when I come to the text of Kathopanishad, I could not understand anything because one thing, Kathopanishad is one of the very difficult Upanishads. Now, I went to Professor Yamanacharya and then said I cannot understand it. And then he said, "You see, it is philosophy. Philosophy can be understood by studying it systematically by a good teacher. Therefore, you just wait till you pass this intermediate and then take philosophy for your study." Then I decided, yes, I must study philosophy. Now, afterwards, there was a principal, and because I was a bright student, have secured so many, first say for the whole state. Then he called me and then said, "My boy, why do you study philosophy? Philosophy bakes no bread." Then immediately I said, "If philosophy does not bake any bread, I would open a bakery and earn my bread." Suddenly, it came to my mind, and then I took to philosophy. Another important thing happened here. I came in RSS, RSS student, and every evening I used to go for Sangasthana. Then I came in contact with a person called Na Krishnappa. He was in final class and also very brilliant. And then in Sanskrit he is also very brilliant. And then he asked me, "What do you want to study?" I said, "I want to study history." And then he said, "If you want to, I see for history, for intermediate class, people would read only what is it, Bengali textbook, text summary. People would read only that." But Christopher said, "Don't confine yourself to this class text. You read the standard book. There is a book called Three Authors History, and Three Authors History was Ravchavitare, Dasudar, Katta. I am getting the help of, help because my memory has become very poor after I wrote Uttarakanda. I'm sure that some of you have read Uttarakanda. Raise your hand. Yes, and I wrote it in 2017. My memory became less and less. I would forget, I would remember the summary of a book, but it was difficult for me to remember the name of the author. I have a secretary with me, and I would ask the secretary, and she would see the what is it? Huh? Internet, and then she would say, "Yes, this is the author's name." Then I would connect the two, but within 60, within half an hour again, I would forget it. Then it happened. And then what happened is I studied three authors' books. With the result, I developed love for history. That study of love for history helped me to write at least 3 or 4 novels with historical basis. Even Parva, according to me, is a historical novel. And for that, how much study I have done, and which places I have visited, and what were the places, Pandavas moved, what are the places which Krishna moved, and all these things, etc. It was possible for me because of that. And this history helped me in some other way. For example, I went to study the place of Kurukshetra war. Where was the Kurukshetra? You see, if you have read this this novel, Parva, you know how I have described. If you one day war takes place, people die, and then birds will come to picket, etc. And it becomes dirty smell. Therefore, next days they would go to some other place. So I wanted to study that. So I went to this place, Panipat. Panipat is the place. And in order to study there, I was searching somebody who would help me, the local man, educated man. And luckily, somebody said, here is a man who is the professor of history in this Panipat university, and he will help you. I met him. His name was, what is his name? Phadke. His name was Phadke, a Maharashtrian. And he took me to different places. The place where Bhishma died, and another place where Karna died. Karna ki khila, that place is still there. So for 2 days he took me round, and they helped me. And afterwards I took a taxi and then traveled from there to Hastinavati. What is the distance? and what is the rural route, etc. I studied it, and afterwards from there, I went to a place where the Pandavas were taken in Aragilimane. Huh? They made. So I went there to which place is there where Bhima, carried his mother and took them there. I went to that place to study, to find out. But today, that old village is full of only Muslims. Only Muslims. And I asked some people, what about Mahabharata story, etc. They said, what is that? What are you talking? So that is the situation anyway. So this way I made spot studies. And making this spot study, for example, when if you have read this novel, Parva, how Krishna took his paper to Dwarka and so on and so forth, all the details which I need not tell. Anyway, one important thing happened. Before my first novel which I wrote was Vamsharuksha, first novel. Now, at that time, what happened was, in Karnataka High Court, there was a Chief Justice of Karnataka High Court called Govinda Bhatt. And there were the High Court lawyers started, developed an exclusive library for them. And for that, Govinda Bhatt came there, opened it. And after opened that, they based one thing. You see, there is Hindu law, Hindu inheritance law, Hindu law is there. Now, all of you study from a book called Mullah and Mullah. Mullah is not Muslim, but it's a surname only. Father Mullah, son Mullah, both of them together wrote this book. Now you people argue in the court only on this book. And afterwards, what happens is that we also give judgment on the basis of it. But it does not give us very clear picture or very clear understanding of what Hindu law is. But for that, there is a novel called Vamsharuksha. You read that novel and you will understand what Hindu law is. Because there is this Shrotri who knows it, and each sentence that Shrotri speaks is dharma. And also, there is a historian also. He also writes about it, the historical background of this in this novel. Now, what happens is, with the result, it's great. Now, it shows one thing: a literary work, a serious literary work, is not just a story, It helps the judges of the Supreme Court. It helps the judges of the India's highest court. That is the value of a novel. So I believe, I started saying, if I write a novel, if at all I write a novel, I must write with such knowledge. For that I must study everything. I must study. Then only I can go there. Then, in order to study this Vamsharuksha, I had studied history of Dharmashastra by Kane. Not all the whole thing. At that stage, it was not possible for me to read the whole thing, but all important things. And for that, Bendre had come there, traveling 300 miles to Udupi. In Udupi, it was a big this study took place. Bendre came. He participated. He became the president of the discussion. Then all this made me think I must become this again. Now, before that, I must tell you that after my MA philosophy, I was a lecturer in philosophy in Hubli for 2.5 years, and later on I got the lecturer of philosophy in Sardar Patel University, and at that time I wanted to do my PhD, and then in Baroda, it was only 22 miles from Sardar Patel University and then Baroda. In Baroda, there was a professor called Javadekar. So I went to see Javadekar and then said, "Sir, I want to do PhD and I request you to be the guide." And then he said, "No, I don't take another person. For people, registering for PhD, it has become a fancy. They register and later on they don't work at all. I don't want another person." Then I said, "Sir, I am different. I know the subject matter also. Usually, the PhD students request the guide to suggest the theme. I said, I don't ask you for the theme. I know my theme, and I also written a long essay on it. You may test me, get that." Then he said, "You come tomorrow. I will test you." "What time shall I come, sir?" He said, "Come at 3 o'clock. He had arranged a lecture session having 80 people, all philosophy, what is the not science, what is it? Humanities. They had there, and all professors of the subject, all students, they were there. And he said, I have arranged this. Can you give a lecture on what you are going to in your PhD? He said, "Sir, I will speak." I went there and then I spoke for 40 minutes. And then there were questions. I answered this. and the faculty chairman of the faculty, he was the president for that. And later on, he just came to me and then said, "Young man, you are tired. Come, I will take you to a hotel and I will give you some refreshment." I and Javed, both of them went and then gave refreshment. And then I asked them, "Sir, accepting for this, you will before accepting it, you have conducted it. When do you conduct it, sir?" And then said, "Oh, your testing is already over before 80%. I will give you, if you have some money with you, give the money and tomorrow I will register it." Luckily, I had some cash. Next day it was paid. Now, Dr. Javadekar became very interested with me. And then he said, "Anyway, you know the subject. You write each chapter, you send it to me, and I will go through it and make my comments and then correct it." So he was, in 1 week I would write a chapter and Javadekar will make his comments. This way for 2 chapters he collected and then said, "I need not correct it. You complete it, and afterwards I will see what this together." I completed my thesis in 12 months, and then I brought it, and then I gave it to Javadekar, gave it to the humanities chairman, and then he said, "Oh, you see, at least it requires 2 years for accepting PhD. What can we do it?" Then I said, "When my guide has accepted this thesis, when he is satisfied, why should you make me wait unnecessarily for another year?" And then he said, "Yes, you have point. You go to your, first you go to registrar." I took the thesis, went to registrar. 1 more year you have to wait. Then I went to Vice Chancellor. Vice Chancellor was a chemistry professor, physics professor. And then I just went and said, "This is what the registrar is saying, and he is not accepting it." Then he said, "What is wrong to wait?" Then I said, "Sir, Einstein took only 4 months to write his thesis, E = mc squared. If Einstein can do it in 4 months, why not I do it in 12 months?" And immediately he said, "Accept the thesis, take further answer, but collect 2 years fees." 2 years fees because of this auditing problem also. Yes, the thesis was dead. And within about 1 month, Viva OC was arranged. For Viva OC, a man called Narvade, B.S. Narvade, who was professor in Allahabad University, he had come for the district. And when I entered the Viva OC room, he just said, "Welcome, Dr. Bhairappa." And I understood when he calls me Dr. Bhairappa, he has accepted. And then he thesis my thesis, and then he said, I appreciate your thesis, but why have you padded it? Why have you unnecessarily rose the pages, and are they really what? And he said one thing. You have written about thesis, written about music. Yes, it clearly shows you know Indian music and its rules, regulations, everything you know. But you have also written about Western music. Do you really know that music first hand? I said, I don't know. Then why have you said, added it when it is not your experience? And immediately Javadekar said, no, I wanted him to pad up. Then he asked Javadekar, why did you do it? He said, I did not know that you would be the examiner. Anyway, it was over. Thesis was over. And immediately this Narvane said, you have done truth and beauty, that is your subject. And I suggest to you to add truth and beauty, and then moral also, so that it becomes complete. And write it, publish it, and submit it to Bombay University for a D.Lit degree and earn 2 degrees. I immediately said it's a fine thing, and I must do it with two double degrees. I can go to Oxford as professor, as Radhakrishnan was professor. That was my dream. I worked on it for nearly 2 years, and I worked. At that time, this Vamsharuksha thesis discussion was take place, and Bedre was appreciated, etc. And then I asked my, by then I had written, two ordinary novels. I had said, my publisher was in Bangalore, and then I had told him I have written a book, an important book, and for that uh, uh, I will give you later. And then he announced it. Bhairappa's no novel. But for 2 years I could not send it. Then he said, I have announced it, people are demanding it, why do you wait? Usually you are a systematic person, why are you doing like this? Then I decided to study one other novel. I don't remember which was Vamsharuksha, yes, Vamsharuksha only. And then I sent it, and then Vamsharuksha became became the subject, and it gave me so much of name, and then I decided, yes, I will become a novelist. And this philosophy will not help me very well.
Javadekar was upset that you did not
Yes. And Javadekar, meanwhile, had I had agreed to do D.Lit. And Javadekar said, Bhairappa is a hard-working person and is a responsible person. He will do it anyway. He will look for D.Lit for. And after already 2 years have passed, and Javadekar once came to me and then said, "What is the progress?" He said, "Sir, now I have decided to become a novelist." And no. And Javadekar became very angry and then said, "Bhairappa, some people are intelligent and they are not intelligent. And some people are intelligent, but not hardworking. Some people are hardworking but not intelligent. You are both intelligent and then hardworking. But a devil called literature has taken place of you." He angry said, and then he just went away and stopped talking to me. Completely independent. No, Javadekar was a very good person, but at the same time, a very angry person also. He could not control himself. For nearly 2 years, by then I had left the Sardar Patel University and I went to Delhi, NCERT, National Council of Educational Research and Training as a reader. By then, this novel was translated into Hindi. I sent a copy to Javadekar and Javadekar read it. And Javadekar had some problem with some work in Delhi. And when he came there, he stayed in my house. And then he said, "Bhairappa, yes, you have not deserted philosophy. Your philosophy is living in literature. And yet use your philosophical knowledge to your literature, then your literature becomes stronger." And for that, you see, he brought, cloths for a full suit for me, and also he gave me 150 rupees for tailoring thing. And from that day onward, he started reading all my novels in Marathi literature, and he would come and stay with stay there. And whenever a new Marathi translation would come, and he would send it to Javadekar, and Javadekar will write his comments, etc. Anyway, I think this is how I became a writer. I mean, a creative writer. Yes. Here I stop this topic, and any other topic you have.